Hello, everybody, and welcome to the None of Our Businesses Roundtable. We are now in what do they call it, guys? It's not
Self-quarantine.
Self-quarantine, but it's not, the guideline doesn't say you need to necessarily quarantine yourself where we're at yet. It just says you should, social distance. You need to social distance. So we've all been working from home, and we're coming to you from home like many people around the country these days, working from home. And so rather than getting in a room close together, drinking and sitting in front of mics and doing our podcast that way, we're doing it via video conference and using Zoom. So here we are, and we're glad everyone can join us here, and we're going to do our thing. So maybe we want to kick it off. As always, with me today is AJ Wheeler and Charlie Zigman.
Hey, everybody.
And maybe we want to kick it off with the first article, AJ.
Yeah, so actually this week, the ProMeric, the people that do the CPA exam test centers, they went ahead and said that, among all the other businesses that we've seen during the coronavirus, shutting their doors or keeping large gatherings away, they closed the testing centers for the CPA exams. And so now people are wondering if they have an expiration date coming up and they were waiting to take their last test, whether they'll extend those deadlines. The other problem is most of the state boards that approve or would have the power to make that extension are currently on leave because of the coronavirus. So, and the social distancing that everybody's been asked to do. And so there's I'm imagining there's a lot of people that are kind of in limbo, and it could go, when this 30-day hold is up, it could go further if we're not out of this. So I, in fact, have one of my exams scheduled for the 24th of next month, or the 14th, I don't remember, but it's after this date here that they've shut it down. But who knows if I'll be able to even take that test yet. So it's yet to be seen. It's kind of day to day on this stuff. But I wanted to get your guys, because I know, Ty, you were in the education field for a long time, and students all the time on a regular basis would cram for this stuff. If you've been cramming and had a test coming up, it's unfortunate, but it's passed down.
Yeah, you got to figure it's a letdown, right? Because like you said, let's face it, most people who take the CPA exam, they are cramming that information in order to pass the exam, and everyone always uses that saying that the best or perfect score is the bare minimum score you need to just pass the exam. That's the proper way to do it, because that means you didn't do too much, but you did what you had to do, kind of thing. But I think, it's got to be a letdown for a lot of folks who have been in the midst of that, and now they're finding out, they can't even take it now. And so they're going to have to probably, depending on their process, may need to go through some things all over again just once they are rescheduled, right? So I'm sure that's got to be a letdown for a bunch of folks.
Talk at all about if their credits were set to expire, that they plan to extend that, because it definitely seems like something that they should do at the bare minimum.
Yeah, they did mention in the article that the NASBA, who does on the grading, has recommended that the boards extend all notices with expirations between now and June 30th to September 30th. But and then I guess the NASBA separately will identify all candidates that have credit expiring through June and provide information to the boards of accountancy with a recommendation to grant an extension. But again, all the boards right now are shut down, so they won't have an answer for a while.
So as an existing CPA, I mean, the thing that comes to my mind is in Oregon, we have a June deadline for continuing education, that existing CPAs have to finish continuing education, certain amount every, in most states, you have to finish a certain amount of credits every year. And in Oregon, at least, we have to submit reporting every 2 years of what we've done and the credits we've done to maintain our licensing. So yeah, I mean, this makes me wonder, will that get deferred? And not just wonder, but I would say it more strongly makes me hope that would get deferred. because like most CPAs, I'm usually running a little bit behind on my continuing education credits.
Yeah, and also too comes to mind is that today, actually earlier today, they went ahead and extended the tax filing deadline until July 15th from April 15th. So, but they highly suggested that if people had taxes, that they go ahead and file them and get their refunds rolling. But I think we haven't seen, this is a big ripple effect to this whole thing. I guess with not just the CPA exam being postponed, but also then the other article that we're going to talk about is the income tax filing deadline being moved.
I'm curious on that. Did they extend time to pay and time to file?
Yeah, they actually extended the time to pay first, or at least that was the original proposal. Actually, I'm not sure if I know the exact timelines in my head of what got passed when or at the same time or what, but the original proposal was to extend the time to pay until July 15th, or for 90 days anyway. And but the thought was they were going to still require filing, which meant most people would just extend and then figure out their tax return to file with payment if due by July 15th. But I think I mean, for me, it was like, okay, yeah, but why even put people through the filing the extension form then, right? So I was glad to see they just kind of made it more kind of straightforward across the board, that it's both an extension to file and pay to July 15th.
Well, it sounds good. I mean, I'm glad that there's some kind of lenience built into that process and that they're reacting in a way that actually helps taxpayers.
And in the article, actually, they did put a threshold on this. The delay is available to people who owe $1 million or less in taxes and corporations that owe $10 million or less. This is in the AP article. So
good call out. Not a particular issue in my world, but yeah, I mean, I think that does remind me that I remember listening to them talk about it or debate it as they were saying, oh, we're going to defer it except for really the most wealthiest taxpayers. You know, we're going to make sure they still pay on time, or something like that was in the discussions when they were rolling this out. So yeah, great point.
Yeah, if you're paying $1 million in taxes, you can deal with the coronavirus. That'll be, that's just fine.
Well, so, and making them deal with their taxes keeps all those accountants employed while the coronavirus is going on, right? They can't just lay off or defer their accountants. So that's good for our industry too.